This episode of Ladder Legacy is proudly sponsored by the Bedford Group Insurance, helping families and businesses protect what matters most. Whether it's coverage for your home, your family, your team, or your future, Bedford's got your back with the best reliable insurance solutions in Florida. Visit our website to learn more, bedfordinsurance.com. And now on to your episode.
Hey everybody, this is Rudy Romero from Ladder Legacy. I am here today with Dan Gittrie, the owner of Tropical RV Adventures, Stealth Restyling, ESP Marketing Group, Acoustics for a Cause. Is there anything else, Dan? Am I missing anything? I feel like you may be involved. Is it also a cafe, I think, too, right? That's in one of the buildings, True
Yep.
Hoot.
So we're in it right now.
Five. I mean, talk about a guy who has got a lot of things going on. How's your morning going so far, Dan?
Doing absolutely fantastic. How's your morning going?
Good until I saw your Facebook post this morning. I was doing a little Facebook stalking because I knew I'd be talking to Dan this morning. And one of the fun things I love to me and Dan kid about is the RVs that he owns and he rents out to people. Is these wonderful jokes that end up coming out of it. So sometimes people leave these ridiculous reviews. They're great, by the way. RV Ventures, Tropical RV Ventures, not a problem whatsoever. But it's interesting to see some people who do damage to the vehicles leave these ridiculous reviews. They do this crazy stuff. And one of my favorite things to hear when me and Dan are usually together is the most ridiculous, outlandish stuff. You got one for me this morning, Dan?
Well, I mean, there's always something ridiculous and outlandish going on. And, a lot of people in business kind of try to shy away from one-star reviews. And I like, taking them out and highlighting them because it's like I say, I got over 500 five-star reviews. Let's talk about the 10 that aren't. Because there's usually a story to the story that's always interesting behind it. So, so we had an RV that went out about a month or two ago. A guy went out. Someone went out with him. We thought it was his wife because they presented his insurance with it. Went on an adventure. Then all of a sudden, we started getting errors on the RV itself because we got computers on board that monitors and maintain all the engines so we can make sure everyone has a great trip. And it started giving us errors like there's a diesel particulate filter issue or there's a sensor gone. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of weird. A whole bunch of sensors going off that I've never seen go off before. Well, the RV renter kind of went dark and didn't respond to us just checking up on them and seeing what's going on. And then when they didn't show up to return the RV on the date that they're supposed to return it, we had to do a safety check. So we sent someone down to do a safety check and we saw there was some damage on the exterior of the RV. So we gave them a 48-hour notice and we had to basically repo our RV back. When we took our RV back, it definitely looked like there was a party in there. We could probably roll about 22 joints in there. There was enough in there. They definitely trashed the place and the RV wasn't operating as well as it should, and there's a lot of damage on the outside. So we took it to Mercedes, and they told us the entire exhaust system and underbelly, muffler, DEF filter, everything was missing. And I was like, how's it missing? And then we started looking up some of the compartments. And like, I'll send you a picture. We literally opened up a compartment and a folded exhaust system is like in one of the compartments on the underbelly. And we're like, okay, they had to work to get this thing in here, and it was wrapped in blankets and baby shoes and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird and stuff like that. So the picture you saw today is we're arguing with the insurance adjuster and saying, oh, you could fix that. And I'm like, no, you can't. It's bent in half. And I just sent him a picture of like, this is what a new diesel particulate filter looks like, and this is what the broken one looks like. Don't tell me you can cut corners and fix that. It's stretched out, and it's almost like a bending straw. You know, you have a bending straw in it?
Yeah.
There's like that in exhaust, except it's stretched out like 2 feet. So, this guy... Yeah, we had to hire a investigator to hunt this guy down for the insurance company because the insurance company couldn't get a hold of him. So we hired an investigator to get a hold of him. We got a hold of him on the phone, and it sounded like he had a rough morning. And then he started blaming the RV that it was too low to the ground, and he hit a speed bump, and he hit a rubber speed bump, and that's the reason why everything happened. So we pulled up the GPS. It showed him rolling over all the medians in the parking lot, going over an edge, going through a security gate, brushing past a building. And we just had to kind of make sure that he knew that we knew what really happened with the situation, because the entire exhaust system doesn't get ripped off just by going over a speed bump.
So, like in these situations, and I mean, for the listeners, like I've heard some crazy ones from Dan. This one's pretty good. It's pretty tame. Good party, but pretty tame. Like, what do they say? I mean, what does someone even do? They just deny it, like flat out, just like never happened, or do they fess up to it? What do they usually say?
Most of the time, the people that are renting from us are pretty honest, and they'll do what we tell them to do, and they'll call us immediately when something happens and say, "Hey, an accident happened," and we want to make sure that everyone's safe and make sure that no one's hurt, and that's usually the first kind of line of business. But then you get these crazy stories of people just trying to make things up so they don't make it look like it's their problem. We've had stories where both shower doors were like shattered in the inside of the RV. Literally, they called me and they said, "Hey, I don't know what happened. It must have fallen off track. Both shower doors fell off and they shattered." And I'm like, "Oh, I felt really bad. I thought maybe something just happened in one of our RVs. They shouldn't do that." And we apologized. I send a tech over to I think this one was like in Georgia somewhere. Send a tech over there to help them out. And then the tech gives me a call and says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, there's the whole rear of the RV is missing. So I think the shower door kind of broke when they hit something." I'm like, "Oh, they never told me that happened." Or we'll have stories of we'll get a brand new RV back and all the fabric is destroyed. And then they try to tell me that a wild animal got inside the RV while they didn't know about it and ruined the inside of the RV. And we're like, "But, it smells like a cat in here." And me, I absolutely don't like cats. I don't like cats at all. I'm like, "So you let your cat go in here?" Like, no, a raccoon must have got in here. I'm like, "No, you brought a cat on your trip." And then we get the real story out and they're like, "Oh, well, we brought a cat. We didn't think it was going to do that much damage." And I'm like, "So you came up with the story that a raccoon broke into an RV and ruined all the fabric when it was your cat that we told you couldn't bring." So you just hear a wide range, but most of the time, 90% of the time it's tame, it's honest, it's a real mistake. And then you get these just crazy stories that people make up that are just unbelievable, from everything. And we got GPS and everything on there, not to spy on people. We want to make sure that the engines aren't getting abused. We want to make sure that we can help people when they need help. But, I don't know if they're using Chat GPT to fabricate some of these stories, but some of them are wild.
You know what? I don't even think AI could make some of the stuff up that you've told me. So, I mean, you hear this crazy stuff. Like, what got you into this RV world anyway? I mean, obviously you do a few things. So I'd like to obviously touch on whatever we can today. But what got you into the RV space? Because I mean, I couldn't imagine like just one day saying, like, "Hey, I'm going to just go rent RVs out, and hopefully these crazy, somewhat people, not everybody, small statistic, are just going to go play bumper cars with them, or let's rip a catalytic DEF filter." I mean, that just so everybody understands, like a DEF filter is not cheap, by the way. It's expensive, and you can get into some serious trouble not running them in the United States. For our Canadian folks or folks down in South America, maybe different, but in the U.S., they're a little crazy about that stuff with diesel. So, like, what got you into RVs anyway?
Well, so in general, I've been in the outdoor area. So at 6 months old was my first camping trip with my dad, and it was with a tent. We had an old Viking pop-up tent where you had the hard body and a little tent popped up, and basically grew up in that thing and went camping twice a year with my dad. I got pictures of me in a corn barrel getting bats when I was 6 months old. And then I just kind of grew to love it with my dad. And we used that RV up until, and it was a 1980 Viking. We used that RV all the way up to when I got relocated to California. And I was using that RV in like 2009. And we took that awesome, and we took great care of it. It was real canvas, everything. And it's amazing when you take care of something, how long real canvas and real fabric lasts. But we, I had a family. My son was young. I think it was like, 5, and my daughter was like 2. And we went on a camping trip with that rickety RV up in the mountains in California where I lived. And there was one night we heard like a big ruckus going on at night, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden police started coming up, ambulances. Well, we found out that our neighbors, a couple campsites down, got mauled by mountain lions. And they survived. But that was kind of like that was like, it was like mountain lions. And, it was interesting in California because they did a study where, hey, send in all the photos you have when you're going camping and doing outdoor type adventures and stuff like that. And they found like over 50% of the photos, there was mountain lions in the photos that no one knew. So they're around. But, what the people did is they brought their cooler full of steak into their tent. So they brought food in their tent, and I'm like, how for me, I'm like, oh, that's so common, you shouldn't do that. But I'm like, okay, well, not everyone knows that you shouldn't bring steak in a tent when you're in mountain lion country. We keep the cooler in the truck bed, away from where you're sleeping. But at that point, my wife looked at me and said, I'm not going camping again unless we have sides. So that's the exact point where we got into RVs. We started with a 17-foot travel trailer in California. We towed that travel trailer all the way to Florida here when I relocated to Florida, and we liked it. We were like, oh, this is great. And then we upgraded to a 30-foot, and we really, really liked it. And then Hurricane Irma came. I had the RV down in Big Pine Key, and the refrigerator broke. So I brought it up to here, West Palm Beach, and a billboard ended up falling into it anyways because of Irma coming through. So we had our RV sliced in half. It was destined to get lost because if it was in Big Pine Key, it would have been in the ocean, and up here it got sliced by a billboard. So no matter where it would, it got destined to lose. So at that point, we're like, let's take a little break from RVs. Well, we took my son who he's autistic. He's mild on the spectrum. And we found that his behavior started changing a lot because we were going RVing like every other weekend, just going on a quick trip. So I went out and instead of taking a break, we went out and bought another RV. Friends and family started asking if they can borrow it. They bring it back broken. I didn't have the heart to charge them money for the broken stuff. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, this is getting expensive. And I go, we either got to say no, or maybe we should turn this into a business. So in 2017 and 18, we started Tropical RV Adventures and started out with one RV we started renting, then two, and now we're up to 17 RVs that we rent out. And, honestly, I look back at the whole story. I'm like, if our neighbors didn't get mauled by mountain lions, I wouldn't have an RV rental company today because I would have never got into RVs. So you kind of look at those pivotal points that kind of happen, or if my friends and family didn't keep getting me upset about breaking my RV, we probably wouldn't be in the business. But now this business, which was just kind of like a little side thing and a passion business, has kind of grown up to where we have multiple full-time employees. We got a full facility. We got techs on staff, and, kind of grew into something that, 10 years ago, I would tell you probably wouldn't exist.
That's amazing. I mean, that's what an interesting story. Started from very interesting beginnings to bring you where you are today with it. And I mean, obviously, this is not the first job. Like you said, you were doing this as a passion project. But from my understanding, you were climbing the corporate ladder for many years while you were doing this as well, right? You were working for a large corporation, if I remember.
Yeah, slightly larger, the largest lawn and garden company in the world. I was executive director with marketing with the Scotts Miracle Company, and I started with them in 2020. I relocated 9 times with them, and that's what kind of took me from Buffalo, New York to Ohio to California back to Florida originally. But I ran businesses. I started out stocking shelves at Home Depot as a counselor for them in 2000. Took over a couple of stores, then took over a territory. Then they brought me to marketing in 2006. Won at the age of 26, Hagedorn Marketer of the Year globally. So I kind of got that over 10,000 other employees. I got it globally for launching a product that I worked with some great teammates with called Pump and Go that's still on the shelf today with Roundup. And I was one of the few people in the team that helped make that project happen. And they then transferred me to California and around the circuit, and was in charge of about $4.5 billion worth of business with the company. That's with all the brands and everything they represent. So I had a great 13-year run with the Scotts Miracle Company. And 2012 and 13 decided to call it quits because I didn't want to relocate again. And 3 days later, we started ESP Marketing Group.
That's amazing. So I mean, you've obviously climbed the ladder. You had some good times on it, and you decided, hey, I want to build a legacy out of it. But again, the RVs, and I love this when you have serial entrepreneurs like yourself, like that's not the only thing that you've been up to, right? So you also opened up Stealth Restyling, if I remember correctly. I mean, you did my vehicle, and I loved it. He tinted my car for me, legally, of course. And, I love the work he did for me. So tell me a little bit about that as well. When did you start that one?
Well, we started, the name came up. I came up with the name back in 2014. And I knew it was something that we had to launch. Yeah, so I knew it was something that we had to launch, but it wasn't the right time. So we started VSP Marketing Group, which we do a lot of vehicle graphics and stuff for corporate to national clients and retail, even vehicle wraps. it was not a consumer business. And then consumers were coming to me in 2013 and 14 asking, hey, can you wrap my vehicle? Can you do those things? And I was like, yeah, we can absolutely do those things. So Stealth was kind of developed as kind of like the sexier side of the business. And it's the consumer side of the business because no one's going to come and get their ceramic coating done with the ESP Marketing Group, but Stealth Restyling would. We developed a business side of our business, which is business to business, and then a consumer side of our business, and that's what Stealth Restyling is kind of like the fun and more energetic side of the company that I knew we were going to launch. We officially launched that side of the business in 2022. We've been doing that type of work since 2012 and 13. So it's just kind of a rebrand of some of the work we've done. But in that process, we invented a hybrid detailing rig that runs off full lithium, no generators, no noise. So we can basically go in anyone's driveway, detail their car, go to the yachts, go to the ports, do service of those things, go to golf clubs, country clubs, and things like that. Take care of the members. We bring everything with it, including the water and no noise. So we used a lot of the technology that's out there in the RV world and combined that with detailing and came up with a unique, different way to go after the business and take our business on a road and go mobile. And, the other part that kind of drove me to do that is I had a conversation with someone in 2021 and they basically told me I couldn't do it. So I was like, really? I've had this idea for 6 or 7 years and I will do it. And they're like, no, you can't do it. So I went ahead and did it.
Well, that sounds like you. I can only imagine someone trying to tell you not to do something is just a fire for you. And I think that's the entrepreneur in you, right? At the end of the day, I couldn't imagine someone saying no to me and thinking that I'm not going to want to go out now and do it. I mean, that's just who we are as people, especially you, me. I think you and me are very similar when it comes to being interested in businesses. Now, there's one thing I like to say I see with you, it's outdoors. You're always working on something that seems to be with the outdoors. Are the outdoors that special to you? Because I feel like that's very in all your businesses. It's always something on the exterior. It's the outdoors. It's kind of your thing. Is that like where your happy place is?
Yeah, my happy place is outside. So I'd be the kid digging holes in the ground, playing in the sand, even in Buffalo, New York, where I was, born and raised, playing in the snow and things like that. And with the Scotts Miracle Company, I mean, I did a little landscaping and stuff on the side before I got recruited by them. And I was always planting things, growing illegal things. And, then when going into Scotts, I was like, oh, this is cool. Now I'm like, working for this company. And it's like working for the company with all the products I used to use with my dad. And I'm like, that's so cool. I work for that company now. And I remember bringing home boxes of Miracle Grow for my dad from the office just so he can play around with it. He was so excited that I was working for the company with the products that he's used for generations type of thing. But I was out there in the Scotts company teaching kids where tomatoes come from. And it's amazing how many people don't know where tomatoes come from, actually. And then bringing that into the RV world and then everything here. And now we're building overland vehicles and doing creative marketing and things like that. So I love the outdoors.
Well, that's amazing.
I mean, one of the passion things that we had with the RVs was helping families get outside. And that's where I got some RVs that are only $60 a day just so we can help more families get outdoors.
Yeah, but that's great, though. With the world that we live in today, everyone's stuck. I mean, even us today, on the podcast, like everyone's stuck inside. They're on computers, they're on, gaming systems, insert electronic device that they're on. If they're not getting outside, they're not getting the sunlight they need, the experience, the socialization. I mean, it's so important. So to be able to, like you said, offer something from, basic level all the way up to, platinum tier. And I know Mercedes aren't cheap. So, I know they got to be a pretty penny to rent, but it sounds like you have an option for everybody, which is really awesome. I mean, that's really good that you did that thinking of everybody and not just saying, hey, I'm going to curtail to, high net worth people or people who have more disposable income. You're across the whole spectrum. That's really cool. But yeah, you also have a charity, from my understanding, called Acoustics for a Cause. So for businesses and a charity. I mean, I don't know how you just drink coffee all day. What are you doing to keep yourself awake?
We got coffee right here. But no, I mean we got a great team over here. Everything's not done just with myself, but we got a great team that do a lot of great things with us. And I got teams in every one of the divisions we have to make sure that we can execute the vision that we have with it. But just like anything in my life, the charity didn't started just because of a similar thing too. we were in 2001, we wanted to throw a big Christmas party for the office. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we brought a band in and did this and this? And we started doing that. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we invited our clients? And then I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we invited our clients and then maybe try to raise money for charity? So it rolled into this thing where we did that. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're going to still do the Christmas party, but we're going to do this again in March. And then we're going to throw a big event. And we only had like 3 months. We did that in 2022 as our first real event, but it grew from a company Christmas party. And we raised like, $17,000 for charity in 3 hours, 4 hours. When I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I don't want a place you want to go because it's an obligation. Like, this has to be a party. This needs to be fun. This has to be an event that people will want to be at. Networking and help communicate and grow small business is important to me. So I want to make sure this is small business friendly and professional friendly. So, because we've all been to galas and we're like, yeah, this is great, but, you really didn't want to be there. So I wanted to make this so it was something that you want to be at. And that's where Acoustics for a Cause was born. And everything that we've done on this charity has music involved. That's where the acoustics part comes from. So we did this. We did the first event, raised a lot of money. We're excited. And then we started doing application processes, try to get a little more serious. And now we're at our 4th year of doing these events, where this year we're focusing all our efforts behind Speak Up for Kids. And it's November 15th, which is a Saturday, from 5 till 9 o'clock. And it's an epic event. We're going to have, I got an Airstream cigar lounge. We have a RV village with a real fire in the middle of the village going on. We got a 5-person band coming, a stage, and we clear out our 20,000 square foot studio and put up lights, and our lighting designer and our sound engineer and the person that's helping out with the experiences from Universal Studios and does all the crazy horror night stuff. And we got, cigar lounge, VIP lounge, chefs coming in. We got Lily Catering helping out with a lot of things. And the whole thing is around Glow Crazy. So it's kind of like this glow theme, because I want to do something that really hasn't been done before either. So we're going to have an epic party, epic event, there to network, there to celebrate, and there to also raise money for charity with silent auction items. And tickets start at $150. And we put together a really, really, really nice business program where for $250, a small business owner can get a ticket to the event, and we'll put their business card in a program, and we distribute 2,500 copies of this program all year because it's for our 2026 program. And where else can you spend $250 and have your business card in 2,500 places? So, it's really small business focused, but, we've had large sponsors help us in the past. Last year we had ESPN. This year we got a couple sponsors up our sleeve that we can't talk about right now, but it starts with the small business owner throwing in $250 all the way up to large and medium-sized company. And we're going to have 250 people here to celebrate, try to raise money, but have fun and celebrate what we've accomplished for the whole year, and put small business owners in the same place as other successful people so they can learn.
That's amazing. I mean, hats off to you. I mean, first of all, creating something that can help kids, right? I think you said it was Speak Up for Kids. I know a little bit about them, about abuse of violence and crimes that are committed against children. That's an amazing cause to be a part of, first of all. Second of all, putting together something that small business owners, because I know everyone thinks that every business just magically is endowed with $2-3 million when you start. That's not the case. It's a grind, and to have something so affordable for them to be a part of this, go to this, network, and help each other build a community. And then that's what I'm hearing, is building a community that they can work together with is outstanding. I mean, that's really, really cool. So who came up with the Glow Crazy idea? Was that one of your RV weekend trip ideas? Team? Okay. I was going to say,
the whole team. So we start brainstorming on themes and stuff like that. Last year was Speakeasy. Every year we have a different theme, and we go crazy. We'll go crazier on it. But we have a brainstorming that started back in January of this year, and start throwing themes around. And one of the criteria for the theming is, has this been done before? And if it has it been done right? And we try to do something that hasn't been done before. I mean, everyone does the black tie events and galas and things like that. And I'm like, well, let's go back. And even though it kind of sounds like the 80s, it's not. But there's definitely going to be thousands and thousands of glow sticks that are going to be out there and fun stuff. But we want to make it, groundbreaking, a good conversation piece for businesses. We want to have it that someone wants to be at, and we didn't want to duplicate another theme that's been done in the past around there. So we just kind of come from scratch and build it from scratch.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really cool. It's definitely out of the box thinking. And now, not only do you just do this a big party once a year, from my understanding, you also do wind downs, right? That supports Acoustics for a Cause as well. So every month you're also partaking in events or networking events that have smaller glow crazy events. Is that how that works, or how are you doing that every month?
Yeah, so every month, so we have something called the monthly wind down, and this also kind of started as a, hey, give back to our employees and have a place where we can kind of chill and relax and, say, hey, look at the great things we did this month. And, the first year we did it, we just had, it was literally me running to Costco, getting some cheese trays, throwing it out there and throwing some wine out there. I'm like, hey, just come hang out. Then it kind of grew into what we officially call it the wind down. And we started really rebranding it with the Acoustics message, and we started cultivating, and we want to showcase local music. So we added in local music, local chef flares. Like we had Chef Dahlia come out and actually help sponsor and help put together the whole presentation that we had in August. And it was crazy. We had fireballs going up in the air with her cooking some amazing food and appetizers. But it's a showcase businesses and individuals and local musicians to the business community. So we had about 75 to 100 people show up at the wind downs, and they're completely free. Every month we have a small business sponsor it for, $500, $600, $700, and we pull this together for the community. And then we raise money by selling raffle tickets for some gift baskets and raise a couple $1,000 here for Speak Up for Kids that we focus on the whole year. And then we have a grand event at the end of the year. So it's a great event, always different local music. We're always highlighting local businesses and always highlighting local food, local beverages, and local music.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, years ago when you were just starting out, or I'm sure you said landscaping prior to Scott's, like, was this like a dream you've had forever to do what you're doing now, or is this a relatively newer dream? How did Dan come up with his current situation in business and in philanthropy? What did you think you were going to be doing when you were young?
I mean, when I originally joined Scott's, and a reason why I think, a reason I know I did really well with it, because I did things differently. So I was one of the only individuals that went through the Scott's company with the titles that I had without the proper, as they say, education flow. And there were times in the Scott's company where if you had a certain education and you had a certain title, you're allowed to have 2 chairs in your office. And if you didn't, you're only allowed to have 1. So I'd be the guy, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm having a 2-person meeting. Let me grab an extra chair. And I would actually sit down with HR and explain why I had 2 chairs in my office for meetings, because there was this weird corporate hierarchy going on with it. But I was always the person that comes in and kind of breaks the mold. So I did that with Scott's. And everything I do, I'm like, well, if we've been doing it the same way, what's the point? Like, if it's not working, you got to change it. And, my flair has always been about like a show. Like, it's always been about like, how do we involve the community? Because I've always been big in community, from helping boys and girls clubs in California plant gardens and, clean up neighborhoods to everything like that. It's always been about the community. And I also saw that there was really no support and really no avenue for small businesses to kind of activate within the community. So since it didn't exist, I wanted to kind of activate that platform. And small businesses, like you said, everyone thinks they got millions of dollars in accounts. They don't. A lot of small business owners own their job. Their dream is to get away from owning a job, and they want to get to owning a company. And as people go through that transition, they want to help the community, but they can't, because they don't have $20,000 to drop on a cause or something like that. So I wanted to make it, it's like, okay, well, if we get 100 small businesses together and everyone throws in $250, that's $25,000. Like, it's like that's a lot of money. We can do some things. And you throw, and that's a methodology we started looking at. It's like, okay, well, let's make a platform so we can get a whole bunch of businesses together that throw in a couple $100 each, but have a huge impact on the local community here. And they all feel like it's because of them. And you can't do that individually. So that's the platform that we did, because it hasn't been done before. It's always been gala events, and they're waiting for everyone to raise their hand to give $1,000 and $5,000. And for a small business owner that's just starting, they can't even afford a ticket to show up to the gala.
Yeah, especially here in Palm Beach. I mean, there's events that I would love to go to sometimes, and I look at the tickets, and they're north of $750 to $2,500. And I'm like, for just 3 hours of an event. And obviously you want to support that charity, you want to support the work that they're doing. But at the same time, it has just gotten so expensive. I don't know how a lot of these small business owners, and I think that's the point, they aren't doing anything, and this is a great platform for them to hear about this type of opportunity for them where they can go out, be able to market their company, be able to support a charity, be able to enjoy right a night out as well. Because again, Glow Crazy, I can just imagine. I was looking at the website this morning, them pouring drinks into glasses and all the fun raving looks like, and I'm just like, oh, that's sounds so cool. I wish I can go, and hopefully I get to go if I'm around that day. So where does Dan go from here? You are building businesses, you're building charitable organizations, you're helping fund the community, you're doing great work. What's the next thing for Dan?
I mean, the cool projects I'm working on right now is kind of evolving off for other businesses is, I got from the RV world, I never thought I would be doing custom builds for individuals because people are like, hey, I really like what you do with that. Can you build me one? And hey, can you do this thing? So, just recently what we kind of shifted into, and it's just more of an add-on, not even shifted into, is we started doing custom builds for overland vehicles. So if you got a Jeep Gladiator, a pickup truck, or something that you want to kind of add some racking onto it, add some lithium systems on it, take it off the road, and trying to really explore on that. We're starting on a couple custom build projects right now where you can wait and we'll put you in the schedule and kind of build your custom vehicle, which that's something that I probably would have never thought we'd be into, 10 years ago. But we've done what we've done for our own companies so well that other people want to have one for themselves. So we're expanding a lot into that and going into more mobile service when it comes into Stealth Restyling and really trying to focus on small business. And although we do a lot of corporate clients and help a lot of companies across the whole nation, is really try to listen to our local customer and do things that are different and do things that haven't been done yet.
Yeah, the overland stuff, that's pretty interesting. I don't think there's many companies down here in South Florida. I know there's a few larger ones, like one or two, but I don't really know of many of them that are actually doing that type of work. So that's an interesting vertical to kind of bring to the business side. I'm interesting to see. Are you doing one for your own vehicle first, and then you're going to set it out there? How are you kind of setting that up?
Yeah, I mean, we started with a couple vehicles for ourselves, and now we have a couple projects lined up that other people want us to work on. So, and we're distributed to a couple companies. We got one where it's decks. So now, even for contractors and stuff, they can get their drawer systems now for their pickup truck for HVAC companies and things like that. And we partnered up with a lot of vendors that we've been using and trusted for over 20 years for our own products that we can now add on to other vehicles. And we're actually working with those companies too, because my first question was like, hey, Deck, you're selling these systems across the whole nation to contractors so they can put their tools in, throw pallets of cargo on the top. But where do they get their power from? So we started going through this whole process, and they're like, well, we never thought of that. So I'm building a custom energy system that can fit in a Deck system that hasn't been done before because I'm trying to fill a need for myself.
Out of necessity becomes invention, right? Invention is the mother of necessity, I think is what has been said before. I mean, you know how that works. It just builds this wonderful opportunity for other people around you as you become more interested in building new opportunities for yourself. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So, I mean, you're involved with a lot of stuff. How do you keep it together? Because I think that's one thing that some of the small business owners on here, I'm sure people that are listening are thinking to themselves is, how many virtual assistants or how many assistants does Dan have to keep his life together? Because he's got so many things going on between wind downs and glow parties and that business and meetings. Like, how do you keep yourself together so that you can do what you do best, which is build?
Well, I mean, with anything itself, like I do work a lot, so I'm trying to work a little less, but I don't work the normal 8 hours a day, I'll tell you that. But on each of our divisions, so I got a great team on the RV side, great customer service person that kind of manages everything with schedules, full-time employees underneath that. Same thing on the VSP side, have a great team, have a great creative director that manages everything that's going on in that part. And same thing on the Stealth side, have a great team on that business itself. And then between our teams and some volunteers, that's how we kind of formed the team behind Acoustics. So it's a lot. I mean, it's overwhelming at sometimes, but we know the reason why we're trying to do this. And, who wants to sign on for extra work? It's a lot of work to put on an Acoustics event, but, it's a passion behind us to give back to the community, give back to the business community. And we're all doing it for a reason. And, right now we're looking at it where we have less than 60 days to the event. And, we're hard in planning and hard in, getting businesses involved and letting people know about what we're doing.
Yeah. And I can imagine you're, like you said, having that great team behind you is paramount. And I think that's one thing that people don't appreciate as much. And it's difficult. I think Florida's job market's difficult. It's different than the Northeast, comparative to where you and me probably spend a lot of our time. What trials and tribulations have you had, in the last, we'll say since COVID, with hiring and finding the right staff? Have you found that to be more difficult post-COVID, or do you feel like it's easier in any way?
Well, I think after COVID, a lot of things have changed. So the one thing that changed too is the consumer that we're marketing to and the people that are consuming our products and services have changed. So after COVID, there's been a fundamental shift in that, and some people love it, some people hate it, but it's definitely a shift. What we've seen in the hospitality world, which is the RV world, is patience have run a lot thinner when it comes into customers. We have a lot of people that have different needs, and they like expressing those needs a little more strongly than they used to focus that in the past. And I think COVID awakened a lot of people to let them know that there's more opportunities than just in your backyard. There's opportunities nationally that for many years they were able to grab onto, and people are willing to do that. But now we're seeing that kind of restrict a lot as people are starting to say, hey, you need to get back in the office, and hey, you can't travel the world while working. And we realize that although that was great for you, you're not as focused as you could be on the work. So we're starting to see a shift back. But what we have seen is people, I think, realize, on the outdoors, like a lot more people are planting gardens. A lot more people are doing yoga. A lot more people are going camping. A lot more people are enjoying the ocean. A lot more people are starting to get out and go to restaurants. And you've seen a lot of shift in a lot of these categories. And then when it comes into physically hiring people, a lot of people are looking in for those things. And a lot of companies don't have those things to offer where they can meet all those requirements for people. People are looking for, the highest paid place they can go. And some people are looking for, where's a place that I feel like I belong? And where's a place that I can contribute? And where's a place that I can feel like I'm family? And I think that's the route where we went is, like yesterday, it's like we just, had the popcorn machine going around our office here. And, the week before, we just bring some things in. And, we try to focus more on, belonging to something bigger and being a part of something and having a real good team, which you attract a whole different set of individuals. And although it's still harder to hire and find those individuals, I think what it makes easier to do is target the people so that if you find someone that you like, you can pull them in faster. And you have different conversations during interviews when you know exactly when you start focusing on, are you a good fit for our company first before we start talking about your qualifications.
And do you find that and again, this is one of those old adages, right? You're supposed to go to, you finish high school, you go to college, you get a degree, all that fun stuff, then you go right into the workforce. And there's people, don't take that exact view. They don't go to college, they go right into the workforce. Are you finding it more important to find the person and the who than the qualifications behind it? Because, personally, I'm finding that I'm more invested in the who versus the what they know, because most positions, most jobs can be taught, but tenacity has been the most important thing for me, the sense of urgency. Do you feel or see the same thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of people have a lot of different opinions with this, and I think our opinion's kind of on the same line is show me what you've done. You can't teach passion. You can't teach honesty. You can't teach drive. And then you start looking at the things like, okay, well, those things are great because those I'm going to look at those first because you can't teach those. Then you start looking at like, okay, well, is this position I'm hiring for, is it technical? Do you need a certain skill set and stuff like that? And even for the RV world, my guy that just got promoted on the RV side, he was a detailer, but I brought him in and taught him everything there has to do with RVs. And now he's doing troubleshooting, tech support, and things like that. And he didn't know anything about RVs, but he had the drive and he had the passion, and when you look at education itself, there's a lot of people out there that, that need it just to help them teach themselves framework and teach them how to problem solve. And there's some people that naturally just know how to do it. So I'm not, against education, but some people really need it to kind of frame up and be successful. Some people just naturally have it. Like when you start looking like, the Michael Dells of the world and things like that. And a lot of people you look out there, but, I look for things that you can't teach in a person first. And then are the other items teachable? And, then there's some times where I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna give this guy a try, even though that I normally wouldn't do a hire. And I just expect that, I'm going to put my all into it. And, I just had a guy that didn't make it through the process. We give him 90 days and didn't make it. But then I got, my longest employee went through that same thing, and he's been with me since 2015, 16. And I gave him a chance, and now he's here we are, so I kind of go on both sides of it. But education isn't anything. It's a willingness to learn and take a little risk and just have a really good positive attitude and wanting to learn.
Great. And I think that is a wonderful way. I mean, that's a great way to give people opportunity. And it's not always going to work out, right? Not every employment works out anyway, right? You're better off to find somebody who fits your culture better, right? Your company's culture, what you believe in. Because at the end of the day, they'll fight, bleed, fight, and work for you twice as hard because they believe in what you're doing. I think you're specifically, not to blow smoke, but like you're a guy who I think people can get behind because you're positive, because you do so many wonderful things for the community. You're pushing for success, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. And that's something I think everybody can get on board with. That's something that's really cool.
And all my employees know, and everyone here, and it even happened like this week, is I won't ask anyone to do something that I'm not willing to do. So even last week, someone, RV, they're shitting in RVs. Probably going to bleep that, but they're poop in RVs, and it's other people's poop. And one of the things wasn't working right, and it was jammed, and he was never played with that area before, and he's scared because you don't want to deal with that stuff. So I put my rubber gloves on and walked through exactly how to do it and did it right in front of him, showed him how to do it, and got crap in my hands, took the gloves out, threw it, and then we're right onto a conference call.
Yeah, but you can't teach that, right? So that's something, that's a behavior that you've been in, you have grown up believing. You believe in yourself, you believe in doing that thing, and I feel the same exact way. I would never ask anybody to do something for me that I personally wouldn't get up there and do. That's why I never did roof work, and that's why when I was a firefighter, I never was on a truck company because I hate roofs. So, and I totally get that mentality, and I think it's definitely words to live by, most 100%. So I know, again, you're doing all this stuff. Again, I keep saying it because I understand how trying it can be. What does Dan do to relax and take a load off? Is it taking out one of those 17 of those RVs, or what do you do to kind of take a load off and keep yourself centered?
Yeah, it's RVs. So I've been, the outdoors. So it's looking at a campfire, roasting marshmallows, hanging out with the family around a campfire. And I try to get out at least two weekends a month, and we got a spot that we always go to. And that's the decompression, is going out and doing that. Or at home, I got a huge raised bed garden. We garden all the time. We grill all the time. I grow my own lettuce. I grow my own tomatoes. So that's kind of the decompression things. And the other decompression thing is honestly, putzing around with the RVs. I like, building stuff, thinking of things and engineering things, even though I don't have an engineering background, and coming up with new ideas. But, those are the couple of things that I look to cope with. And the number one thing is sitting around a campfire.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's, again, very, very similar to me. And I think that is being out there in nature, enjoying a little bit of a slower pace every once in a while, keeps all of us slightly sane. Because I think we all have to be a little insane to be business owners, and then to be business owners of multiple things, you have to have just a little extra insanity in your mind to accept that not everything is going to work out. Not every day is going to be perfect. You're going to wake up to Mondays are almost every day, but that's okay, right? That's what we signed up for, is for the suck and embracing that suck that we're a part of. So
it's one of the things. One of the things I learned really good at the Scott's company really well is when I first started with the Scott's company. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're the world leader in lawn and garden. And I started getting really stressed out about $100 issue. And then I learned really fast to deal with those $100 issues. And then I learned how to deal with $1,000 issues. And then you deal with that. And then eventually I was dealing with $1 million problems every day. And then you learn how to deal with those things. So now you just kind of look at it. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter what size the problem is. We still got to find a solution. And a lot of business owners have even gone down this path. It's like, oh crap, it's Thursday. How am I going to hit payroll tomorrow? It's like, okay, well, sit down and figure it out and put together a solution. And it's not giving up. And it's not giving up when 99% of the world is against you. It's not giving up, because the only reason why businesses survive 10, 20 years is because they didn't give up.
Well said. I 100% agree. Every day the world is going to test you. And every day someone is going to tell you a reason why you should give up, not do it, go jump and take a paycheck somewhere, right? Instead of working for yourself, instead of building the thing you want to see. It's a vision. And if you don't have a little bit of that crazy, a little bit of passion, a little bit of accepting the unknown, you're never going to make it. And I think that's what people, they get caught up on the books. And I think reading is great, watching YouTube videos, podcasts, these are all things that help us become better business owners, become better people in general. They're all, 20 years ago, we couldn't do this. We were sitting there playing, NES or Sega. There was no opportunity for us to go online and do something like we're doing today. But to take all this in and to combine it with the tenacity that people have, that's how somebody goes from that ladder and builds that legacy. And I think you are on way to building a legacy that I think is going to outlive you in the future, hopefully, because I think you're doing such amazing things in the community. So I know you are going to be pushing some Acoustic for a Cause stuff at the end here, because I want to make sure you talk about it all over again, because I want the listeners to hear about it. But there's one question that I like to ask my podcast guests every time they come on. Really hard hitting, and I say the same thing every single time, so I'm sure people get tired of me saying it this way. Hard hitting question. It's going to stump you. It's amazing. You're never going to be able to get the answer. If you could talk to one person, dead or alive, doesn't matter, and ask them one question, who would that one person be, and what would be the one question you would ask them?
That question is one of those interesting ones that come along, because everyone has a different point of view and things like that. And I think I'd probably go back to family. And I never got to meet my great grandfather. He passed away literally months before my dad was getting married. And I hear a whole bunch of stories about him all the time. And I think I would like to ask him a couple of questions. I hear stories of the good old days, the whole bunch of guys sitting in the cul-de-sac in the neighborhood, drinking beer, having a good time. We get so engaged with digital social media, everything is going on. I'd like to ask him what was a hard day in his mind, going back 100 years ago. What really is a hard day? I think it'll be vastly different that what was a hard day back then to today, and put life in perspective.
My gosh. Yeah. Well, the word anxiety wasn't even a word 100 years ago, right? I mean, I can only imagine the difference between 100 years ago of today, dealing with automobiles, finally becoming big, the sinking of the Titanic 10 years before that, and all the kind of the depression, all that. I can just imagine now what they would say. I mean, that's a good answer. I love that. So,
yeah, I mean,
Dan,
you kind of wander on. Yeah.
You do. So, Acoustic for a Cause. Let everybody know, when is it happening again?
So, tickets went on sale last week, and also our business sponsorship books opened up, and we only have limited spots. So, the event is November 15th. It's a Saturday. It starts at 5 o'clock, goes until 9 o'clock. It's epic. If you hate music, go sit outside around a campfire. If you hate campfires, go sit around and listen to some good music. If you hate music and campfires, go sit around a whole bunch of, business owners and go network. There's different experiences for you depending on what you like, what you hate. If you love it all, you're going to have a blast. Go have a cigar. So it's a complete immersive experience that hits everyone in different types of ways. And you need to be there. We limit it to 250 tickets for the event. We only have certain sponsorship opportunities available in our book, and they will sell out like they will every single year. The business sponsorship start at $250 all the way up to $10,000. If you got $250, that's how you can help, even if you can't come. Throw us $250. We'll put your business card in the book. If you can come, we'll give you a complimentary ticket. If not, great. You got 2,500 business cards out there. You got to be there. It's something that's grown from 50 people showing up to now being sold out.
Amazing. And where is it located? That's one question I think I forgot to ask.
Yeah, so it's going to be right in our creative studio, right in West Palm Beach. So right off of Blue Heron. So we literally shut down our shop at noon on Friday and clear out the entire facility, bring the lifts in and start building. And in 24 hours, we have a full immersive environment with staging and everything. So we actually clear out our whole place, because our number one thing that we try to do is have low administration costs. So we do that so we can give back more to charity and everything. So you don't have to worry where to park.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. I'm really excited. I hope I get some time to get down there. I'd love to be a part of it. I did not go to the Speakeasy last year, so this year I hope I have some time to get down there And I appreciate you coming on, Dan. I know it was last minute, but I wanted to make sure with this coming up and the timelines that you were on here, and we can let the listeners know what you're up to and follow you now on social media and such. Where should they find Dan? Where can they follow you?
Well, I'm everywhere, but for Acoustics for a Cause, you can follow us at acousticsforacause.com. If you want to follow me personally, it's called Dan Adventure Life.
Nice. And he does have an adventurous life, just so everybody's well aware. So you are not going to be missing out on all the fun and exciting things he puts on there. But hey, Dan, I really appreciate you coming on today, buddy. It was a pleasure. And I'm excited to hopefully get down there and see this awesome glow party and do some more fun together.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me on.
See you later, Dan.